welcome to Kim Talks Resilience, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Speaking with authors, entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches to learn their strategies for a more resilient life so we can all build the life we love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. All righty, welcome back. Super excited that you are again spending a little bit of time with me. I know how precious our time is, and I think our next guest probably knows better than so many others. Our next guest is a mother of three, a former opera singer, a best-selling author, and a six-figure business owner. Freya Casey helps single moms level up their business and mindset so they can be financially free without sacrificing their personal life. So let's get her in here. I'm excited because this is always a hot topic. Always a hot topic. How are you doing today, Freya?
Hey, Kim, I'm doing amazing. And I don't hear my kids screaming upstairs yet. So that is a good sign.
That's always a good sign. So you actually have, in the three, you have a set of twins. So you have double trouble. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes.
we'll get into that more. It was something that I have chosen very, very on purpose.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So let's start first with kind of who is Freya and who are you? Where are you coming from?
Well, of course, we all have long stories, but let me try to abbreviate that just a bit. I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. I got married when I was very young. I was only 20 years old. After 12 years, we got divorced. We didn't have children. That wish to have children always remained with me. I later had a daughter when I was 37. And all along, I was doing what I love the most, and that is singing. So I had become a professional singer and opera singer, actually. Um, After a while, I didn't enjoy that lifestyle anymore. And because I wanted to be a mom, that just didn't jive together. So I decided to just leave the opera world and become a freelancing artist. And then when I became a mom, I thought I had to reinvent myself because I didn't want to travel all the time. I wanted to be here. And I found myself in the situation of becoming a single mom. So I thought, why not put some tutorials out there on YouTube? I know about singing, so why not? So that's what I did. And then there was some success. It's not, I can't say that it grew overnight or that anything went extremely viral. It was a slow and steady growth. I'm now at 265,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have 3 podcasts and 4 YouTube channels, and I have built a six-figure business doing singing classes for people all over the world, classical and pop and really everything. And I also expanded on my wish of becoming a mom again because I did wanna give my oldest daughter siblings. So I just took it in my own hands, as a lack of a husband, I took things in my own hands and I went, and adopted 2 embryos. You can do that. There are people who do IVF, and they have leftover embryos. You could either destroy them or someone else could actually give them life. And so that's what I did. And so that's why I
Wow.
have twins now, 2-year-old twins, and I'm about to be 50 this year. Don't feel like it
Wow.
because they keep me young.
No, I was gonna say I'm 54 and I just can't imagine having 6-year-olds. So, good on you. And you know what though? This is a trend that I'm seeing more and more of because I've interviewed another gal recently, and she's 50 and just had her first child. So, this is, and I think that I'm going to take this off topic a little bit, but I do want us to reconsider the timeline for having children because if we're going to extend our life expectancies, if our millennials are expected to live healthy to 140, then why are we expecting 20-year-olds to have a baby? I had my first child when I was 20, and I personally, I'm not saying this about anybody out there. I personally was not mentally ready to have that child. And so I grew up with my oldest child. By the time I was 32 and I had my third child, that's I really feel like, okay, I had it kind of figured out as to who I was, what I could bring to the equation, because your kid is like a crapshoot. You have no idea what you're getting.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you said, I want to go back to your business. I love the fact that you addressed very honestly that it was not an overnight success, that it took time to build your business. So let's go into that a little bit, because it doesn't matter if you're selling singing classes, piano lessons, or home organization or podcast tutorials. It's all some sort of level of expertise. We put it into a package and then we sell it. So now we have to develop the online skills, and we have to, and being an entrepreneur, you have to hold yourself accountable. Can you walk us a little bit through that journey and tell us maybe what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and what were some of the surprising benefits that you got?
Well, when I started out, of course, I did everything myself. And that was, I always was good at doing videos because I had a video camera when I was even quite young. I had a video camera, no one did. And I did those little documentaries. So it was always fun for me. So that was something very natural to me. But then, of course, I started my YouTube channel and I thought, I guess you can make money with YouTube eventually. Well, here's the thing. I found out that that's not the case.
Uh-uh.
Just putting out YouTube videos, that's not gonna get you into a great house or anything like that. So instead, I joined a mastermind group, and that opened my eyes. It was like, "What? I can, like, do courses and start an email list and do live streams and do, like, webinars and giveaways," and it just blew my mind. You know, I was surrounded by these other women who wanted the same thing, and it was just so mind-blowing how much stuff there was to do, and I felt so small suddenly because I had some success. I remember I was around the 8,000 subscriber mark back then, and in the mastermind, it was like, "Whoa, you're the YouTube expert." I have to laugh now because in YouTube standards nowadays, 8,000 is like it's very small YouTube channel.
Yeah, and
Um,
and and it's hard now. It's hard. There's 37 million YouTube channels. 37 million. So it's really hard to be heard amongst the many.
yeah. It's just I think there is for everyone now, there is a space there. You just have to try different things. I just think it's really all about finding the right thing. I have friends, they tried several different things and I don't know if you're familiar with Pat Flynn, but he's had this brand for many years, Smart Passive Income, and he's done so well with it. But the YouTube channel isn't anything that was ever explosive. He has a huge podcast, but then he just starts randomly because he likes it, a Pokemon YouTube channel, and it takes off. I mean, stuff like that, it's just if you hit a nerve, you might just take off. But in any case, I think if you have any expertise, it's really all about showing up consistently and really bringing something to the table that is so you that no one else can replicate it. I mean, like a lot of people teach singing, but they're not me. And
Yes.
that's my advantage, of course, because I'm the only one who's me.
And I think that's something that we need to keep bringing back to the center, because you see a lot of, for every one person that speaks up or will put something out there, there's 100 people that are not, that want to learn, that want leadership and mentorship and sponsorship. Um, and I was watching this TED TED Talk the other day, and it was around the mentorship space, and really that's what it is when you put your expertise out, even if there's a fee associated to it. that is that mentorship space. And if nobody does that, then nobody grows, right? Um, what was some of the surprising things that you've found along the way? Because I mean, since you've started, how many years have you been doing this now?
Probably 10 years.
10 years. So we have AI, the evolution of AI, which is fabulous in editing softwares and just even making shorts and all sorts of things. But even just in our software, so you would have been up and running during the kind of that explosion of click funnels and all of these other things. Through your course of 10 years of this is the tool, this is the software that's going to make you millions. What has been the thing that's kept you on track from the shiny object syndrome? How have you managed to keep on track and not get sucked down the hole of shiny objects, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody has a new hack.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, it's like I'm a creative. So, as a creative, you are easily excited.
Yeah.
I listen to an audiobook and I'm excited. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make millions." I mean, literally, you're like trying to like, "Okay, if that person did it and they had so much success, I totally wanna do it." And then you, of course, come back to reality and you're like, "Okay, even if I do the exact same thing that that person did and I use the exact same strategy for my audience, it's just not gonna work that way." So, um, the way really I stayed on track was just lots of education. Just keep educating myself, and I feel like the more I read, the more I've found that, yeah, everyone has an opinion and everyone knows something,
Yeah.
but like with everything in life, I'm gonna take it all in, and I'm gonna take a little bit here and a little snippet there. I'm gonna mash it all up, and that is gonna become my best strategy and my reality. I do this with my faith. I do it with all kinds of things. I listen to the best, but there's no one best person that I'm gonna just follow 100% in everything they say.
Yeah, yeah, if you're a creative, you most likely are also a a constructive kind of, you're gonna use a little more cognitive skills within determining where you're gonna go and what you're going to do, versus just blind faith, right? And I understand that just blindly following is more of an assembly line kind of solution, right? Okay, great. I'll just do this one cog over and over and over again. So when you work with your single moms, because I love the fact, I like that single mom CEO. Um, I know that money is a huge, huge fear factor. It's a scarcity mindset. It is like it's all these things. And I was a single mom for 5 years. I was a
Mhm.
single mom. I lived in my car at one point in time. And
Wow.
oh yeah, it's hard. And I have absolute nothing but incredible respect for women who can do it and do it well. Right? It's hard to have that faith that it's going to be okay, right? Because we
Yeah.
always are in fear for our children, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's never guaranteed. So you always,
Exactly.
when you don't make money, you're in fear that there's not enough, and when you do make a lot of money, you're always in fear like it's gonna go away, it's not gonna continue.
Exactly. So, what are some of the ways that you work with your clients? Because I know that a lot of working with people is resetting their mindset. They come in with a preconceived notion or 10, 15, 20 years of trauma, or they were like me and they've been homeless. They understand those, they've experienced those ups and downs. How do you reset their mindset so that they can actually grow a six-figure business? Because I mean, I want everybody to know statistically, the average entrepreneur makes less than $70,000. That's a fact, right? And then once you take out all your operations costs, you're at $36,000 a year. That's what is claimed on average. So to get to six figures, we're already double. what the statistical average is, which means we're having to shift mindsets, not just train them, but we're shifting the mindset. What are some of the things that you do with your clients to help shift their mindsets?
I feel like the most common thing that I encounter is that there's some limiting belief, and just questioning that and asking the question, "Is that real? Is that the truth? Is that really so?" I always ask myself in anything, not what does someone else think or is that realistic? That's never what I ask myself. I just ask myself if, if I find myself using that language of, "Oh, that's so hard," or "It's gonna be a lot of work." I try to rephrase that and not use that language, and I think that language is like when you suggest to your subconscious that that's what it is, you're gonna try to look for a way to make that true. So, instead of using the language of, "Oh, it's hard, and it's too much," or "I can't do it," I always ask, "So, that is not true? Up to this point, I have not been able to do this thing, but with a shift of mindset and then the realization of for me always was, if someone else has ever done it, I can. Like, if it doesn't
Exactly.
defy the laws of physics, if it's actually humanly possible, I'm not any dumber than the next person. Why should I not? And so just asking, why not? And is it really so? Whatever you're telling yourself, that narrative, just question it.
So the why not me? Yeah, I get it. People have asked me, it's like, because I come from a very challenging childhood and a lot of poverty, a lot of disadvantage, and statistically, I've done very, very. I love statistics because I just need to know if I know what the statistic is, then I just need to figure out how do I leverage the odds. That's all I everybody goes, "Boy, you know a lot of facts." And it's like, it's not about knowing facts, it's knowing about my baseline.
And that is actually the easiest. If you know a statistic and you can say that this is the percentage of women who make six figures, and there are some, I'm kind
Uh,
of like, maybe I'm more ambitious. I always say, you know what? Screw the statistic. I'm gonna be that one person who's gonna do it. And
Absolutely.
even if no one has done it, why not?
Eh,
So, like, about
I
the babies, about the embryo adoption, I debated and debated, and then I had to talk with my coach, and he just asked the right questions, and I became clear, it's not about anyone, it's about me. This is my
exactly.
dream, and I don't even care if anyone has ever done it or what anyone thinks, even if I'm 50, and I'm about to do it again, by the way.
Oh,
One
wow.
more time, I wanna give it one more I wanted one more, um
That's that's amazing though. And you and I are in the same generation, and the likelihood is based with the new epigenetics and biotechnology and everything that's happening, we're going to live to
Yeah.
110,
That's my
right?
plan, and I'm
Comfortable,
planning
you know?
to still run and jump and work out until the day I die.
You know what? And I actually I have a we have some friends, and like his mom, he's out there out in California, and his mom is like fully independent and is 108, something like that, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, still lives in her own home, does her own shopping, does everything. So I think we have to shift our mindsets. And I believe that over the years we've gotten into this blame game, this shame space, this not wanting to say I can do something for fear that somebody's going to shame you or blame you for taking their space. But the reality is we're making more space, we're making more time, we're making everything, so why allow anything to limit us? I do have a question, a technical question. So with your programs, with because everybody always asks, we see success and we want to know what somebody else is using, um, for the hosting of like all of your programs and your CRM and stuff like that. What program are you using?
I'm such a Kajabi lover. I've been with
Kajabi.
them
Yes.
ever since. I mean, for years. I was one of the early adopters, and I'm paying a ridiculous price in comparison to what it costs now. I wouldn't switch because you can have unlimited podcasts, you have your email, your segmenting, like, I just love Kajabi
Yeah.
because they're always trying to make it better.
And it is a system you know. So that's and
I'm
I think that's
familiar.
yeah, yeah, that's I think that's really, really important. So, w give us a time in your life that without a moment of resiliency, like truly hard moment, that you've pushed through, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, my entire childhood, really. My dad was an alcoholic, and I remember that it happened frequently that I literally thought, "I think my heart is breaking, and I think I'm going to die now." And I literally didn't wanna live anymore. If it hadn't been for my mom and me having music, going to the piano, and playing what was in my heart, I don't know if I would be here. 'Cause it was so painful. He screamed at me every single day, was very emotionally abusive. He passed away a long time ago, and I had never a grudge, and it's a good feeling. Even when he passed away, there wasn't a grudge. I never held on
Yep,
to anything. But I think all of that until I was 20 years old and moved out, until I got married, it was really heartbreaking every single day, and that made me, I think, so resilient that now anything is so much easier than having that daily heartache.
yeah.
I feel like even with my past and my spouse that was similar because he suffered from just depression, it's very light now. Even I have to do all the work as a single mom of 3 and running business and all the stuff. It's not always physically easy, but it is emotionally so much easier now because that part of me is just it's light now.
Absolutely, and it probably actually set you up for that unconditional love, right? You
Yeah,
knew what you experienced what it was not, and so you actively chose to model what it should be, and
and I
I
feel
that's
like I'm living now with my children what I've always wanted growing up. I have a very close relationship, and, I feel like it's a full circle now.
I understand, I understand. I have a 34-year-old, a 26-year-old, and a 22-year-old, and my we are, still do our Sunday dinners. We are, as close as, very different adults can be. We're all unique individuals,
Oh, yeah.
and, my kids are my world. So, I get it. I get it, and good on you for just going for what you want and creating that space. Um, let's talk books. So, uh, I want to talk real quick. You have a book, so I'm gonna pull up that information right here. Uh, you have a book. So tell us a little bit about your book and what the readers can expect from it.
Of course, it is about singing, but it's actually a little bit more than that. Master Your Voice, my personal approach to more skill and depth in singing beyond perfect technique. So, everyone who's interested in the language of music and singing and communicating through song, um, there is the technical aspect. Undoubtedly, that is important because we all know when someone can't carry a tune, it's not beautiful to listen to. But there's just so much more that goes into it. Your psychology plays into singing a lot, just your own hangups and your opinion and how what your own perception is about your voice and the way you sound. But then also your personality, of course. If you wanna communicate, you have to connect to the music, and your personality goes into it. So I really talk a lot about my own experiences. Some funny stories are also in there, all the experiences I've had, some things are really funny, like you show up and, the organist who's supposed to accompany you has no clue. about, like, any of the music. "Can you whistle it to me?" I'm like, you want me to write down the sheet music for you now?" Because he thought I was doing it, but he's supposed to do it on the organ. And I'm like, "You're supposed to play this solo. Okay, let me write this music down, the Mozart for you now."
Oh, man, yeah. So that gives you, the ability to think on your feet, that's for sure,
Oh,
you
you
know?
definitely have to improvise a lot as a performing artist.
Amazing. Well, and I know that music is used in all forms of therapy. So it's leveraged now in homes for people with Alzheimer's. It's used for relaxation, for pacing breath, for everything. I always recommend a 60-second kind of reset that takes like 4 minutes to get to it, and it's your hot cup of whatever kind of tea or something aromatic, right? A piece of music that you can pace your heart to, and close your eyes and do that, and breathe that in, hold that, listen to that, close your eyes so you're not getting your visual stimuli, you're using your
Mhm.
ears, and reset your heart rate when you're getting to that full overwhelm stage. Um, like I said, I have 3 very unique children. I have amazing adults for my kids, and I've gone through the anxiety with them. I've gone through all of these spaces, and I've had to help coach them, and music was always a part of our lives. Everything from
I
Frank Sinatra up to Beyonce, just whatever's in the mood, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, I feel like even for any entrepreneur, singing could be very useful because if you can sing in front of someone, you could do anything in front of people. It's
Yeah.
very vulnerable to
Oh,
sing.
it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will, very clearly say the only thing I sing is Girl Guide songs. They all have a certain rhythm to it, and it's more kind of talking with a lilt versus actual singing. So, yeah, I know all the Girl Guide songs, so if anybody wants to do Girl Guide songs, I'm your gal. I always said, "Oh, I'd love to do a children's CD," right? Back when CDs when we get them, because all the children's songs have this certain
Mhm.
rhythm to it, right? And it's like,
There's a
I can
song
do
for
that.
everyone to sing.
There's a song for everyone. Um, I your socials, where can we find I love the fact that you have like, I don't have a super, like, high level YouTube channel, and I've been putting stuff up there for a decade, and I have interviews with stars and, like, crazy stuff, but you're crushing it. You're crushing it. Tell me a little bit about where we can find you, follow you, and engage with you. And also, if you could give us one tip or trick that you have found successful for your YouTube, building your YouTube, that would be awesome.
Okay, so on the socials, you can pretty much if you search for my name, you can find it. Usually Freya Casey Music is my handle. On TikTok, it's the Freya Casey Music. But then I also have, of course, because I work with entrepreneurs, not just with singers, it's thesinglemomceo.com. And on the socials or on Instagram, I am the SMCEO. And as far as YouTube goes, I think the thing that really helped me the most is to just I know it sounds very generic, but to be true to myself and what I enjoy. I enjoy talking about the things that I talk about, and when you tune in there, you will see that. I'm passionate, I never have notes. I basically always just have a headline and I press record. I could talk for hours because it's what I've done forever. So, if you talk about something that is so in your heart, you could just talk a hind leg off a mule.
That's a
That's
good one. That's with knee high to grasshopper. I'm like,
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
Yep.
Do that. That's what you need to do. If there's something that you could talk about it all day and night, and it's like, "Oh my god, if I could just talk about this, it would be amazing." I have another channel where I talk about my embryo adoption journey, and, yesterday I just made a video about having babies in your 40s and 50s and how there's so much judgment. Like, we wanna be tolerant now, and for men, it's okay, but if a woman age 50 wants a baby, it's like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
So, it's from the heart, and the comments come in because people know, they can tell that this is what I'm passionate about, and it's real. It's very authentic.
So you have 3 podcasts. Can you give us the names of all 3, please?
So one is Freya's singing tips, and the other one is, The Single Mom CEO, and I have a third one, it's called Find Your Voice, which where that I talk a lot about mindset, and I think out loud, and I talk about some spiritual things and my journey there and the books I read, and kind of a lot of behind the scenes and inside of the heart kinda stuff.
That's amazing, and you know what? In a world where the number one, mental health issue right now is loneliness, you're probably a voice for somebody who's sitting there feeling very isolated. And I absolutely agree. We need to rethink the ageism around women in reproduction because the world is changing, our longevity is changing, and giving women should have the option to build a life that they love and still have the option to have children. I've had too many conversations with women in their 60s and 70s that
Mhm.
regret
Yeah.
not having children, and I meet people that are in their 60s and 70s that gave up a career and they regret having children. So it's 6 one way,
Mhm.
half a dozen the other, and we have to leave it open to the individual. So no judging, no judging, because I believe that probably over the next 10 years we're going to find solutions to reproductive options,
Mhm.
and we'll be able to, because really a reproductive, we should be able to put it in stasis or hold it off for
Yeah,
when we
because
need
it's
to use
just the woman that's
it. Yeah,
usually the limiting factor, and I
exactly.
feel like I feel like I don't feel like not that it's not fair, but in my case, um, I would have loved to continue to just have children of my own. It doesn't matter now because even though they might not genetically be mine, I don't think about it for a second, and
Yeah.
anyone who's debating who wants children later, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Well,
It's
and
those babies.
there's solutions to everything, and I will tell you, I know that as I've gotten older, I've become a better parent.
Mhm.
I know I have. I because I have you just have more life experience, you have more patience, like, I was not the same parent that I was in my 20s. Now in my 20s, I could get on the ground, I could run around, but half the time, kid people thought I was the babysitter. So, it's yeah. So I think that the main thing here is find your voice, be true to yourself, and believe that you can kick the limiting beliefs. You can be you can I believe you can have it all. I mean, I'm not
Yep.
saying everybody can have a private jet and 4 houses on the coast. That's not what I'm saying, folks. But I'm saying that we can live beyond the scarcity mindset, and we
Well,
can create
if the private jet was what you truly wanted and the motive wasn't just the jet, but maybe it's a vehicle for something,
exactly.
you can.
Exactly.
I don't believe anymore in being embarrassed about my big audacious dreams.
Well, exactly. I'm just saying that it's I love how you talked about it doesn't happen overnight and you have to have your goal set. You have to know how to climb to the next. So it's like looking at a mountain and you don't have a rope, you don't have the picks, you don't have anything, but you're sitting there going, "Okay, I'm going to get to the top of the mountain. Well, I need a rope. I need to
Exactly.
take that first step, right?" And
Exactly.
there's no magic beans, folks, just hard work and being consistent and being authentic to who you are. Um, I always close the show out with a quote, and I love the quote you gave. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Can you give us kind of your mindset around that and why that's a quote that inspires you?
So I came across that quote. I was redoing my bedroom and I wanted those wall kind of
Yeah.
decals? You can
Yep.
have like a quote up there. And then I searched, and on that website, it had that quote, and it immediately jumped out at me. I'm like, "That's it. That's exactly it." And here's why it means so much to me. When I did the wallpaper of that room. That was just before I was going to right before I was going through a miscarriage. I knew it was coming. It was the first after the first embryo transfer, which was initially successful, but there was no embryo that grew. My body thought pregnant and everything happened and it continued until 10 weeks. Um, but since we didn't see an embryo on the ultrasound, I knew it was coming. I just wanted to happen naturally. So I wallpapered my room and I looked for this saying and it jumped out at me because I was crushed on the one hand, but on the other hand, for me, when something happens that closes a door, I'm always like looking for immediately. I'm like, okay, let's go, let's continue. Next, next try. Um, and that always now the babies are here, and even when they were little and newborns and I didn't sleep at night, I would always look at that and say, "Yes, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up." And it just up to this day, every single day I look at this, even now with the next embryo transfer happening next month probably, and I add to it, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up and who never stops taking action. Every single day, I'm doing something that brings me one little step closer.
I I love the fact that you just said you never stop taking action. I think that's the big one.
The
No,
dreamer alone isn't really gonna move
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
You need the dream
Opportunities,
first.
exactly. Opportunities don't happen; they are created, and luck is just the junction of opportunity and action.
And when things
So
get hard, you remind yourself, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up. You will win.
you will win. You will win. Well, on that note, Freya, thank you so much for your time. Like this has been such a great conversation. I'm going to be going over to your YouTube now. Like I'm a little bit on a YouTube envy here, and this is awesome. And I look forward to following you and learning more from you. And I can't wait to see the next beautiful baby you have. And you know what, folks? All I ask is that you give yourself grace. And you know what? Be good to yourself. You deserve it.
Thank you for joining us here today at Kim Talks Resilience. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I'd love to invite you to our resilient community at resilientgift.com. That's resilientgift.com, and we'll send you our magazine and tickets for upcoming events and all sorts of cool things we do here. So be sure to keep watching, and you know what? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring.